At one point, I was on my way driving home after like a 16-hour shift, and then she asked me, "So what's gonna happen with the business?" And I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like I don't even want to talk about the business right now because we were about to start it.
There's always challenges when you're first starting off, and it's usually the first steps, the first couple of years are like the hardest, right? And that's where I want to kind of open up that awareness because we see a lot of people who want to start a business. All right, this is the first podcast for Joe Zaragoza, and we have Brianna and Ulysses from Exquisite Aviation. I think it's pretty cool that a family-owned business running an aviation business on top of that in California. And I find it very interesting when there's couples into business. And I'm gonna bring on all different types of people from, solo entrepreneurs like myself, or the family-owned businesses. I think it's all, unique, or two friends working together. So again, we have Brianna and Ulysses from Exquisite Aviation, and we're just gonna talk about business and how their lives are kind of impacted. It's just different from everybody else, right? Your values and your time you have to spend with your kids and, your family and your friends, right? It's all different. You wanted to introduce yourselves a little bit about Exquisite and how, like, the kids, the family, and where your shop's at.
Okay, well, I'm Brianna. And so the way, I guess I can probably share how Exquisite started, maybe. So the way it started was Ulysses had been working for as an AMP for about, I think, like 12 years at the time. And I would see him work so much, and we just never had like that great family time because he would be having to just go to like trips for the company, wherever he worked, or work swing shifts or a graveyard. And it was just not fun on any end, on his end or on our end or for our kids. And we were just he was just too busy, and I was, working and raising the kids, and it was just too much. So, as a kid, I always wanted to be a business owner. So I did pray a lot about Exquisite before it was ever even made. And it was the idea got planted, shared, and we were like, let's just do this. Let's try it. I mean, we've been through a lot already. Why not? And it's going to be for ourselves. So it's something that happened. So me as the wife, I love planning business and kind of overlooking the household, like where are we lacking, what can we improve, where should we invest our time correctly. And I give him the ideas, and he overlooks everything, and he's like, you know what, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go from working on airplanes, coming home to work on more airplanes. And I'm like, well, I did housekeeping, and I cleaned houses with my mom for her business, and then I'd come home and clean again. So we got this. He's like, you know what? All right, we got this. So that's where he's very supportive on anything that I bring to his plate. He'll overlook it and say, you know what, it's a go, or let's give it some time. So I'll let him share.
How did you feel, Ulysses, about starting a business, going from that transition? Because even for me, like being in the military, and you go from a steady job that takes care of you, and then you go into
I'll never forget that moment when we did have a talk at one point, and I was on my way driving home after like a 16-hour shift, and then she asked me, "So what's gonna happen with the business?" And I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like I don't even want to talk about the business right now because we were about to start it, but we give ourselves, I think, till a few months when we had the idea, and then we give ourselves a few months to start it though. But we were still on track. It's just that for me, at that time when she asked me, she brought it up again. She goes, "So when are we going to start it?" And I was on my way home from a 16-hour shift. So I didn't want to hear anything about any more airplanes or anybody talking about airplanes. So I'm like, I'm done. Because I was working for a helicopter company. And then she just like brings it up. And I was like, really? Like, I just feel like just exploding right now. But, I just kind of suck it up and be like, oh, yeah, you're right. When are we going to start it? And then we'll just do the next step. We were already pretty much almost starting it. So, that's kind of at the moment, because from starting, I worked in the airlines. That was my first career that I had in aviation. And when I was doing graveyard shifts. So I would be coming home after my graveyard shift, and she would be getting ready to take the kids to school. So we would kind of like just see each other walking past by, and so we're like, all right, I'm coming home to go to sleep. And she's like, all right, I'm going out to go start my day. And then for 5 years. So that was just the beginning, the 5 years. So 5 years of graveyard shift. Then other things happened, things changed and stuff. I went through other companies though, but went through a lot of different industry and different type of companies in the industry.
And when was this? When was like all this, like you first starting?
So I started in 2019 is when I became an EMP. I went to school. Right after high school, I kind of slacked it for a bit. And then people asked me a lot, like, what made you want to get into aviation? Did your family was in it? Was it military? And I'm like, no, I just didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And at that point, I didn't know how to even barely do an oil change on my own car. I was not mechanically inclined. I sucked. I didn't know how to even use tools. I didn't even own tools. I never, my dad never taught me anything about tools, so I had no idea how to use them. So, my friend was going to school, and I said, "Hey, get me into whatever you're doing because I have no idea what I want to do, but I need a career. So whatever you're doing, get me into whatever you say something about a mechanic on an airplane. So I'm like, whatever, get me into that." I got into it, and long story short, the day that one of the representatives from the school showed up to my house and then talked to my dad and just basically went through the program and said it's a 1.5-year program for the school. From a 1 to 10, how serious are you that you're gonna fulfill this program? And I said, I'm like, if I'm gonna get into something, I'm gonna do a 10. I'm gonna go all the way. So I said 10, and my dad said, well, me too, I think you're gonna do 10. And then later on I asked my dad, did you really mean that? He goes, no, I didn't. I didn't think you were gonna do it. I'm like, Dad, so when I asked you, you said it was a 10, and he's like, yeah, but I didn't think you were gonna do it. You were screwing up, slacking off at home. So it's like, how do I think we're actually gonna go through with this? And I'm like, well, I did it. And he's like, well, yeah, I mean, you proved me wrong.
That's
but
like you ever told, huh?
Yeah. And I asked him that years later. I'm like, did you really think I was gonna do it then? He goes, I didn't think you were gonna do it. But I was like, it's a 10. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. But yeah, that's when I started in 2009 when I went to school to be an AMP. So I was 19 years old.
When you graduated or when you started?
When I was 19 years old when I started.
Okay. Like, what's your background? Like, were you family like middle class, lower class? Like,
lower class. My dad has always had a construction job, he was doing tile at the time, putting tile, and he was just busting his butt. And then in the summer times, I would go work with him, and I would work really hard. It was tough, carrying big old like 50 pounds of tile, and unloading it from the trucks and carrying the bags of cement. Right. And then mixing, everything that you had to touch to do the job is just difficult. It's like nothing was easy. It's like just mixing the cement. It's so simple. Just all you gotta do is just like batch up a bit of dirt with water, and it sounds simple, but it's really tough. Like you can just break your wrist if you don't hold on to it right, and then you can you have to lift up the buckets. They're 100-pound. I mean, it's a heavy bag. So for me, I was like, my dad would always tell me, you were born here, you were raised here, English, all this, and you have school, you have education, take advantage, because if you don't, you're gonna end up like me. And I'm like, I do not to be mean there, but I do not want to end up like you in construction. And I'm like, no wonder all these people at 30 years old, and now that I'm 30, I'm like, no wonder they're all beat up and broken and their backs hurting. I'm like, I don't want to be that. And I was 19, and I'm like, I have to use my mind to something to get myself to use my mind more and to work smarter, not harder. So I was like, I got to do something, because I don't see myself working in construction and doing this heavy labor for the next 10 years or even 5 years, not even a year. I didn't want to do that anymore. But that's what got me motivated to learn that it's tough, and it's hard work. And then I was like, I'm not going to do that. So that's kind of what motivated me to get a career. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll just do aviation.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, because one of my motivations is like, obviously, like if I had a family, you want to provide more, but you got to build yourself up and be that person, and then bring more to the table, right? Yeah. So that's one of my motivations, because mom's not doing well, so like I want to take care of her, right? And that's like one of my main motivations, because like I grew up poor too. Like I always tell people, we lived in a single wide mobile home. It was 2 bedrooms. I had 2 other siblings, and then like you got to share a bed with your brother for like 15 years.
Oh yeah. I was still sharing probably my bed with my brother before I moved out.
Yeah, he's kicked me off the bunk bed from the top before.
Yeah. See, but the real story and behind the reason why I was pressured more into actually asking my friend to go to school was because I got her pregnant.
Oh,
I say, why didn't you tell the real story?
Well, that's part of the view because it's like some people want to hear like a nice story of background, and it's like I don't have a nice, beautiful story that my parents were in the military and this and that. Is like I just didn't know what to do, and that was. But the main motivation was because when I got her pregnant, I was like my whole dreams of going to the military and doing this and being whatever everything. I'm like it's gone. It just blinked out of my mind when she told me she was gonna have a baby. So I'm like, okay, I gotta do something. And I'm like, the only one I can think of is my friend that I was hanging out with that, he was going to school. So I'm like, I'm gonna ask him, see what he's doing and figure that and see if I can get into that. But yeah, she was getting pregnant. So I'm like, I gotta provide, for the, my son is coming up. And I thought about it. I'm like, I can't be doing construction and I'm not gonna have two minimum wage paying jobs. Cause I'm like, I'm gonna be working 2 full-time jobs in order to barely make it, so I'm like, I can't do that. I'm like, I need a career. So I'm like, I gotta do something. I gotta figure something out.
And we both didn't like school.
I hated
school. We were like the groups of the family on both ends, like the bad kids. That was us.
Like,
and
I'm gonna pay for school if I don't even like going to school. Like, for it was for free.
And then at school, everyone knew him as the very popular troublemaker. And then I used to model. So when they saw us together, they were like, oh yes, like the popular couple, And then at home, they were like the biggest troublemakers over here. And once I got pregnant, I'm like, oh, okay, I got to put my life together. This cannot be. So we had to have a talk and we're like, okay, we can't do this. You're very ambitious. I'm very ambitious. Let's, we got to move forward in our careers.
Yeah. So we told my son, I'm like, he asked me I think even barely asked me last year, he's 15, but he asked me, Dad, why did you become a mechanic? And I'm like, I'm glad you asked it because when you were going to be born is the reason why I did all this. And now that you're 15, now you ask me and now you get to know why. I'm like, because it was your fault. I'm like, you're the one that motivated me to do all this, and because you were going to be born. And then I had a talk with them, but it was nice to enjoy that moment with him. Because something that I plan to be able to have and for the future, now I get to talk to him about it.
Yeah, talking about now that he's 15, he'll understand a little more, right?
Yeah. So he grew up in this industry.
Right now he's 15. He's asking these questions when at that time at his age, I was pregnant. I was 16 when I got pregnant. So you get to see the difference of, his little mentality, which is so cute, versus how the troublemakers that we were at that age. What were we doing?
Yeah, and now we're like the ones that are like the ones that help out our parents. My dad always comes for me for advice, and he comes to our house, and then he comes and hangs out with us, and he. Now he talks to him. Now we're like really cool friends. Because before he kind of hated me. I was doing pretty bad. So I was like,
yeah, I'm sure that can put some strain in the relationship when you're a troublemaker. All right, well, so I'm gonna shift some gears with some of the questions that I prepared, like we talked about, and we'll jump into like the business stuff, right? What are some significant setbacks in your business, and how did you push through it emotionally?
One of the setbacks was our business partner that we had, and we had to make a decision, but there was a question about that later on, right?
Right.
So financially, I think would be a setback. Well,
no, because financially it was always kind of taking care of itself. So it was a setback.
Maybe
it's because since we started it, we've just been growing and growing and growing. But one of the setbacks that were our initial thought, because I come from working on jets and working on helicopters, so bigger $1 million airplanes. So then one of the things that we focus our company was to do big jets, work on big jets. So when we started, we had to start working on the little Cessnas. It says the 150, 152s, and we're like, this is not what I know, and this is not what I wanted to do, but this is what we ended up doing. And till this day, right now, we're still working on getting the company to grow, to expand, and working on jets and bigger things. So, that little by little, we've been realizing that one of the setbacks was the insurance part of that we need to get. We need to get like millions and millions of dollars worth of insurance to cover in case those jets are get damaged or something happens. So that was a big setback. That for me, I was like, okay, this is reality. We have to continue to work on these little airplanes to be able to get to those later on.
Right.
But
it's been $100,000, like probably a couple $100,000 a month for those insurances, right? Or is it like it's high up there?
Yeah. Well, right now for like $1 million, $2 million coverage is about $500 to $600 a month. That's the most inexpensive side. But when you're talking about,
jets.
$1 million jet, and then you need to have like 2 or 3 in your hangar or 4. Now you're talking about 5 million. Now you're talking about like
More,
millions,
even,
billions. So it's
even
like,
the other jets. I mean,
yeah, because we need 2 million just for like $100,000 airplane, maybe, or $500,000 airplane. So when we're talking about $1 million airplanes, and it just the insurance goes through the roof. So then
it's more than your rent. It's more than anything.
yeah, so then that's a setback that we had to, taken, we have to be like, okay, well, we still want to get there, but we have to stick with these smaller airplanes for now until we can get to the bigger ones.
Okay. And I'm sure there's not a lot of insurance companies that can take that kind of coverage, right?
Well, they can. I mean, insurance companies, they got the money, they'll cover you, and they don't care if you're just paying monthly until you get the work. But I'm not gonna be paying insurance company like, $10,000 a month, and I don't have any jets coming in. So we had to get set up first to get all the tooling, to get all the equipment and everything before I even reach out to those insurance companies.
Second question, what personal sacrifices have you had to make in the pursuit of your entrepreneurial dreams? And how did you cope with the emotional impact of that sacrifice?
I would say financially, like everything you had saved, is you're willing to take the risk. Like, is this what I really want? Is this my goal? You think of your why, and you're like, yeah, this is it. So you put everything you have, and it's you emotionally, you just think like, oh my goodness, like this is it. I worked, all my life for this, all of our savings, like, and you just have to kind of put that aside and just say, if we don't risk it, we're never gonna know. So if you don't try it, you'll never know. It's the mindset too. You have to think like, you can't come in thinking you're not gonna make it. All you know is I'm gonna make it, because I know if I can make $100 to $500 to $1,000, I know how to do this over and over and over again. And he's done this forever. So it's like, yeah, we know how to make money. So it's just a matter of time. Yeah. They have to be more logical than emotional at that point.
Yeah. So for me, like a sacrifice was, I had a job when we started with this company. So I was making good money. I made over 100,000, which was something that I think that was the most I had ever made in industry, making over 100,000. So for me, starting with the company, I was really not making nothing when we started. So we were actually investing our money to start it. So we were like, before I was used to putting oil in the engines and putting and using like, hardware and cotter pins and, paper and this and even paper, even printer paper and even ink and all that stuff was like free to me because I had, the company would provide all that. But when we had a startup company, it was like, we had to buy pens, we had to buy paper, we had to buy this. So we're investing all that money that we saved into all that stuff for the company.
The tools.
And then I'm not getting paid nothing when we're starting. So I was sacrificing like doing all extra work when we're not getting paid. So, and then when some money started coming in, it was like, okay, well, now that money goes back to the company to reinvest it in tools. And now we got to do another job, but we don't have the tools. So we have to buy the tool first before we do the job. So all the money goes back to the tooling that we had to first get in the first place. So there was a lot of sacrifice, in the beginning for me, leaving my, career job to not making nothing, for a while.
And then I went back to work. So to make sure we can provide while he takes over, because it's more of his industry. The business part of it is where I feel like I come in.
And then that's what both are doing.
And so just making sure like, okay, I can provide for the house while he can, maintain the business.
Yeah, right. When we started was when COVID happened.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
So COVID hit, so then we're like, oh man, like
2 months in, COVID hits, we're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So I mean, when everybody was getting like, you have to take the vaccine and this and that, or you're gonna get fired or this or that. Like, we had our own company, so good thing we stayed busy. Thank God we were still busy during COVID, and everybody we all stayed home, and because we couldn't go nowhere. So then we still had work, so I'm like, good, I can still go to work. So it didn't really hit us as hard as I thought it would have.
Yeah, no.
But because we stayed busy, so we were like, man, thank God we went through COVID and we had work the hustle. I never really saw COVID as such of a big thing because we were starting off. So I don't know if it was COVID or if it was because we were starting, but either way, we were still busy.
Yeah.
How long were you doing those sacrifices? Like, how long was it you were still working, and then until you fully then you can leave now, like leave your
So
job, your push job. Like, how long was that?
I think it was like 8 months. So we had like I had like
Yeah.
when we got the hangar, we started paying rent towards the hangar, and we went like 6 months with no work. And I was like, here goes another month paying the rent, and here was another month. And at that point, I was like, we're spending all this money, we're paying rent. We're not even getting no work, and I don't even, how is this gonna happen?
Well,
And
we weren't even at the hangar. We would just go
yeah,
check on it, like,
yeah, we would go
okay,
look at it like, okay, well, eventually one day, I think you'll get a job in here. And I'm like,
know what we were doing.
how is
You
people
know?
gonna get to know me? Like, how am I gonna? But people even know that I can, I'm gonna. And if I get a little airplane, I don't know. I've never worked on those, because even like in the military, people that come from the military that work on jets, they're gonna see a little piston engine. They're gonna be like, what is this? It's like it's
Yeah.
really different. So for me too, I was like, I'm used to working on turbine engines, and then seeing a piston engine, I'm like, and I told her, I don't even know how to work on these. She goes, but you're a mechanic on airplanes. I'm like, yeah, but not on these type of engines. And the manuals suck, because they're from 1950, and it's like the manuals just say, take the engine off and put the new one in. It's like, it doesn't explain details, like, it doesn't break it down. So it's like,
You'd be Googling, like,
yeah.
YouTube University.
So we were like, yeah, we'll be like, yeah, we'll get your airplane fixed, and like one of the first jobs that we got was one of the worst ones that we've had to this day. And it's like, wow, like and I was like, literally, I was like, man, I don't know how to fix this thing. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm like, but yeah, it was difficult in the beginning. But yeah, it was 6 months of just waiting for work to come in, and then in January of 2021
yeah,
was
so
when we got our first job.
we would make our rounds. We would go and solicit ourselves to, the tenants at the airport. But then the moment I was like, we gotta get creative. We gotta make, a grand opening, even though it's 8 months later, like it's a grand opening that we're serious, so we're like, let's do this. So we sent out flyers, and we did all, our family helped us make like really great appetizers, everything, free drinks. And all you see is just everyone coming, like everyone around the airport coming. And then they were like, oh, here, we need this. So that's where we started getting a lot of our work.
Yeah, we already had like our cell phone, our company cell phone already going.
Yeah.
We had our website going. We had our hangar. We had our business cards. We just had no work. So then when we had a cell phone, and we got our first phone call on that cell phone, we're like, oh man, that's good. We getting our first phone call is in January. And then I heard the voicemail, because I didn't hear that, because we just let the phone out there while we're like, we're not getting nowhere. So I heard the voicemail, and I'm like, we got a phone call. And we told our business partner, we have our first phone call. We might get work. So we listened to the voicemail, and it's a complaint. It's a complaint that we put our banner where we're not supposed to on the outside of the doors of the hangar. So we were like, oh man, that's gonna suck. We're always gonna remember that we got our first phone call was a complaint that we had already. We're not even saying, we're like, this sucks. So then we just had to do a grand opening, and got people to see the hangar and get to know us. And Brianna did the flyer and made it all nice, and it made it look like we were in a jet. Made it look like we had Dom Perignon and everything. And then people were getting the flyers, and they're like, oh, so you're gonna have Dom Perignon at the. And then we're like, oh, we're gonna have some champagne.
Yeah, we'll have champagne.
And so we're like, just because we invited everybody in the airport, and then we got invited people at the FBOs, and we were going to FBOs and flashing out the flyers
and everything. I was a server, so whatever tips I got, I would save them. So I'm like, okay, with this, we're gonna buy things for the raffle. With this, we're gonna, do this. So there was a lot of sacrifices, like your time, your thoughts, your downtime. The 16 hours, he'd be like, I don't even have time to think about this. And I'm like, okay, well, you can sleep, and then when you wake up, we'll talk about it again.
Yeah.
Because I was working, like when I get those first jobs, I was working 16-hour shift at my job, and then get off of my job to go do the other. The only reason why I get off of work at 6:30 is because I'm maxed out on my time. Like literally, I wasn't supposed to be working 12 hours, but they were like, keep working until you get the helicopter going. So next, it was 16 hours, and then after that, me and our business partner, we'd go and we had to go do an oil change in Palm Springs. So we were literally get off of work to rush to Palm Springs. And it was like, I'll never forget, it was like 11 at night. We were barely having breakfast.
Yeah.
And me and him at the airport, we were like eating our torta and everything. And then we were like watching the airplanes landing, and we're like, oh man, this is like so beautiful. But it's like, I'm too tired to even enjoy we're eating our torta at 11 at night. That was our breakfast. So it was just because he had his own job too. He had his own business that he was doing. So
Yeah.
That's an amazing story, because just like it's part of it, and it's good to hear it from you, because people think it's just champagnes all the time and it's going to be all gravy the whole trip, but no, there's all kinds of challenges.
yeah.
Husband and wife running this operation, and so how do you, now that in your current phase, how do you balance taking care of the kids, doing activities, because at least as I've seen you do BJJ, correct? And how do you balance all that? Because I'm trying to get to wrestling, just trying to do that. Like, I have to wake up super early, and I wish there was a gym, that wakes up, say opens the doors at 4 or something in the morning. But after work, that's kind of hard. So how do you do it to balance family, doing your own activities, and then business?
Yeah. So in the mornings, pretty much like, when we wake up, we take the kids to school. So I don't leave the house till the kids have to go to school.
Mhm.
So now that I, before I would just go to work because she would take the kids to school, because I had to be at work before the kids have to go to school. But now I kind of make my own hours. So then I wake up with, we take the kids to school, and then like sometimes we go together, we take them together. Or sometimes I'm like, I have to go to work, and I'll just drop all the kids at school. Then go to work, check up on my mechanics. So now everything is more like I'm a different level, because I'm not coming in here to wrench anymore. So my employee is already here at work at 8 in the morning. So by the time I get here, at the drop of the kids to school, I just come and check up on him, just to make sure what he left off at, where he's at, what's coming in, what's new, the schedule. There's more things coming in. So and then I kind of check on par. So I kind of do my routine stuff at work here. And they have jiu-jitsu at Tuesdays and Thursdays. They had it at 11 in the morning. So sometimes I would be able to drop what I'm doing here to go to do jiu-jitsu, or like now I can be able to, before I come into work, we go to the gym. So I kind of balance it out to try to see when I can fit it into my time. Yeah. But I'm always like busy. Like if I'm not here, we're doing something, I'm always busy doing something. So if I can get an hour of time to spare, but it had to be something that I have to like really dedicate to, because I'm not gonna spend an hour for just sitting around doing nothing. I always, every hour of my time, I do it something productive. So if I'm here at work, I'm trying to get everything knocked out, try to do as much as I can. Then since our kids were in BJJ too, their classes started at 5. So then I had to make my whole schedule, my plan to get out of work here and be done with everything at 3:30, to go pick them up from school, then to go home, get them to get something to eat, and then we go to class. We go to class, we go to school. Then at the same time, then after their class, then I do my class, and then we were to go home and spend family time after that.
Nice.
Yeah, so everything had to be. I had to learn a lot from being. Before I was just kind of winging everything. Before when I had this business, like I was just kind of like, all right, with this, I have so much more free time, so I kind of would just wing it whenever I can, or whenever I feel like it, to go to the gym or do something. But now that I have so much limited time, and my time that I have during the daytime has to be very, it has to be, if it's not productive, I kind of waste the whole day. So I have to be as much as productive as I can in the morning to get all the phone calls and everything ordered and everything, so that way I can do stuff later on. So then when I'm done from work, I go home and I can, if I stay with that mindset of being productive. That's if I'm spending time with my family, or if I want to just relax and just enjoy my time just doing nothing, or if I want to go to jiu-jitsu or do something. So just kind of have to balance it out and kind of be in the moment with everything that I'm doing, to be able to take advantage of the moment of the time.
Once I get done with the gym, I get into the office, it's like I'm like one of those 18-wheelers without brakes. It's like for me to like stop, like keep going all the way until like, okay, I'm done. Like it's 10 o'clock at night, I'm just exhausted. And I can't press the brakes and then, all right, go to the gym, or what's it called? I'm trying. I was like,
in the beginning, when I was by myself, when I was doing everything, like I was the one. Well, not like everything, but we didn't have a mechanic, so I was the one doing the paperwork, doing the mechanic stuff, doing the troubleshooting, everything. So it was difficult because by the time I'm done trying to know what I'm going to do and looking at the manuals and ordering the parts and knowing the tools that I need, by the time I was done with that, I'm already exhausted. It's already like 3 o'clock. I don't want to go and work on the airplane now. I'm already like, right. I'm like, I haven't even ate, I'm like, I'm already done. And they're like, so when is the airplane going to be done? I'm like, I'm just going to get started. Like, I'm really trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So before it was, and then I would be working till as much as I can till like, 7, 8, 9, 10 at night. And she would tell me like, why are you still responding to text messages right now? It's already 9 o'clock. And I'm like, well, because he's asking about his airplane because he needs it ready for tomorrow. He needs to know what's the status. And I'm like, and I'm barely finishing up to the status of what's going on because I don't even know what I'm doing. So it would get frustrated because I would go home and take everything with me. And then at that, when it was new, so I didn't have a balance. I would just work all day. And I felt like if I go to sleep, I'm wasting time because now it's not going to get done. So I feel like I need to continue to work because nobody's going to tell me when to go to work. Nobody's going to tell me when I need to finish it. It's up to me when I have to finish it. So I would do everything I can to finish it. So I'm like, if I can stay up all night, I'll stay up all night. But then my body was just giving out. I'm like, I think I have to go home now. And I think I have to go eat. And I think I have to go to sleep already. So it was, in the beginning, it was different because I was really learning the difference of having a job and clocking out. And then now having your own business and you don't clock out. You just, whenever you're done is when you're done.
It's a interesting dynamic, right? It's like you, like as a person, at least for me, like a guy, right? Like your reputation is everything, especially in business. So like pushing yourself over over your limits to get the job done. And and you want to have a great reputation because that's going to follow you. And aviation is a small world, whether it's military, civilian, it's a small world. And like you have to, keep your word that, hey, it's going to be done at this time. It's going to be ready by tomorrow. And, you can work 10, 16 hours, but, when you say that something's going to get done, you're going to push yourself over. And that's a very interesting kind of dynamic, right? Emotion or a feeling like I have to get it done. And it's crazy how that can motivate you to, push yourself over those limits.
Yeah. So sometimes even Brianna would go with me and she would go and I'd be like, hey, we need to do an inspection. So we got to open up all these panels. And she would be there like learning how to take off a screw and taking panels off. And then I'd be like, hey, I need help cleaning it. I need help doing this. And, she was there helping me out too to be able to get this going because we would say it would get done at this time, but we were learning, so the learning curve takes a lot longer, so we couldn't charge for it. It was just
And as a mom, it's hard too because you feel like a bad mom. You feel so guilty when you're not doing what you're supposed to do for your kid, like waking up, taking them, and then making sure you come back, food's ready, and then I'll take him food and he won't eat it. And I'm like, wait, you haven't even ate your food. And he's like, well, I'm busy. I'm like, oh goodness. And then just like, it's just so much. And then you see him wrenching and I'm like, shit, I need to get dirty too now. Like I can't just see him wrenching when I'm over here, like, still doing my back end. And, I always work. So I'm like, okay, I need to help out. He's like, take the cowling off. What's a cowling? I don't know what that is. It was this thing right here. I'm like, okay. So I'm like the hole. Okay, I need to see the hole. And I'd be looking at all the, like all the tools, like what would fit into this hole, so, it was just.
Yeah, she was really good at taking care of like the kids. She would take them to school, pick them up and, make sure they had food and buy groceries and clean the house. So she was doing all the back end while I was over there trying to figure things out with the airplanes because, it was, I couldn't ask for help, and when you have jobs, you tell your supervisor, you tell your boss, or you tell another mechanic or something. But when it's just you, it's like your competition doesn't want to help you. They don't want to see you succeed. So you can't go to your competition and be like, hey, can you help me? Because they're going to be like, no, I'm not going to help you because we actually don't want you to be successful.
Yeah, but as for like the time frame, it's important to find a schedule that works for both of you. Like I know in the mornings, like Mondays, I don't like him taking the kids to school because I know Mondays it's gonna get crazy. So I'll take the kids and he'll go to work. And then, we'll be able to, I'll pick them up, do everything. I'll come check in, do some work stuff here, paperwork. And then, like how I said, jujitsu, Tuesday, Thursdays. Well, I know those days I don't need to expect like any attention from anyone. So I'll do my own thing. But then I know on the other days, it's like some days come home, like be really lazy. Like that's okay. Some days you can accept to do nothing, like nothing. And some days it's like, okay, it's my spa day. Like, let me cut my nails. Let me do this. Let me do that. And everyone has their own downtime, and everyone goes to their rooms and they're done with one another and all their, stress for the week. So we all kind of got to see the way it works, and we're on our own like schedules, but we kind of together, but then separate. We kind of knew how to balance it throughout time. Yeah.
Felix, I have a question. I don't know if you relate as an aircraft mechanic, working outside all the time. Do you like going to like seeing nature and the beach and stuff like that?
I still do, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I do enjoy, like like I don't know what else other career I would have done. I mean, for me, I don't like to be inside of a building and doing paperwork, and that's mostly what I do now. But it's like, but I do like to be able to take a break, go outside and see the airplanes landing, and then do all that, and then come back inside, take it because it's so hot out here. So I'm like, I'll just come back inside. And my house is cool. But then I do enjoy going to like the beach and seeing nature and seeing outside.
Working outside, 12, 14 hours, and then some of your friends will say, hey, let's go to the beach, or let's go to go hiking and stuff like that. I was like, no, man, I do that all day.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a thing because I've lived near the beach in some of the places I was stationed at, like a couple of blocks away from the beach. And I've only been to the beach like a handful of times in a couple of years I was there. So I was like, the last thing I want to do is be outside in that humidity or just like go outside and, walking and stuff like that. Yeah. And I like to be outside, but it's kind of a different thing. It's like a drag. It's just like leisurely. I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing. So I didn't know if it was just me that had that feeling because
sometimes when my son, he asked me like, hey, let's go outside. And I'm like, when I just get home from work, I do not want to go. I want to chill for a bit, just close all the blinds and everything and just chill, because I need to kind of, release some stress and stuff and just be chilling. But then he asked me, do you want to go outside? I'm like, no, I just came from being outside, so I don't want to go outside. I was outside all day. I want to be inside. I want to chill. And then he was like, oh, okay. Then because he wants to go outside and play with the skateboard or play with the dogs outside. But I'm like, right now, I don't want to go outside.
Yeah.
But then once I kind of relax and calm down, then I just kind of, all right, I gotta do something. But when we lived in Orange County, close to the beach, yeah, I used to love in the mornings before I go to work. We used to go to the beach, and because it was like 10-minute drive, so we'd go to the beach, get some coffee, walk on the beach, and yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I was just curious. I just wanted if you shared the same sentiment about
That's an interesting question.
Yeah,
that was an interesting question.
All right, so next question is business partners. Like, I want to get into that. You ever had to let go of an employee or a business partner or both, and how did you cope with that fallout?
So this one is really I don't want to put no names or anything, nobody put anything on blast, but yeah, we did.
Don't watch this.
Yeah, we did have a business partner when we did start, and actually, you know what, we were when my coworker, when I had at the job where I was working at, he's the one that told me in the beginning, hey, do you want to come work at my shop? And I'm like, what do you mean your shop? He goes, yeah, I have my own mechanic shop, and that shop was here where we're at right now. Actually. And he told us, you want to come in? I'm like, you know what? Like, yeah, I'll go work over there with you for a bit. And then I looked at him like, man, I mean, you have your own shop, like this is cool and everything. And we always kind of thought our own business. We always wanted to have our own business, but for some reason, aviation was never for me like the idea, because I knew that in aviation there was so much liability to be able to even, for me to think about getting into an aviation business was just out of the picture, because I'm like, there's so many positions in aviation that how are we going to do that? I'm like, that's I can't even see that. So our business partner kind of, showed me about a business. I'm like, so it can happen. It can be small. But then he was a little bit kind of not such a good person in business and in general with customers at the end of it. So we're like, you know what? We're not going to pursue with you. We're going to do our own thing. But then we ended up about like, hey, you know what? Let's I'm like, you know what? The only way I would do this is if we have another business partner, because I can't find business wise. I need somebody else with me to help me, somebody that has a business mindset or somebody that's a mechanic, you know, to be able to help me with all these things. So I can, because I need help, I can't do it by myself. And somebody that, because I don't know everything about an aviation and in business. So then if I can get somebody that knows, then there's two of us and it'd be more, maybe I'd get some help. So we thought about two people particularly because there were, one of them was a mechanic already, and we connected really good as mechanics, and we worked together at another company. And I was like, okay, this guy's perfect. And we got close, and we would like go see his, you know, visit him at his house, and he'd come to our house. So
we were best friends.
We were like best friends. And then his wife met my Brianna, and then they got really close. So we were like, you know, really, really close. So then we thought about him, and then we thought about our another person, which is
my brother-in-law.
Yeah, brother-in-law.
My sister's husband.
Yeah, so he's like my brother. Like for him, like me and him were really, really close. And to me, I'm like, man, he's so cool. Like I wish I can, you know, let's do business together, because I don't see there's nothing that would ever make us to fight, because we never like argue or fight, but like it would be perfect if we can get along so good and like as brothers and like getting along, like we can do this business thing and we could be successful and together. So we thought about those two people, and the first one was gonna go to the mechanic, because the first we were gonna offer it to him because he was a mechanic. So we're like, it makes sense to offer it to a mechanic. The other one was he had his own business, as a car, he had a car body repair shop. So he already knew how to start his business and grow to be pretty successful. So we're like, he's pretty good in mind to keep. Our first option, our first business partner, he didn't want to do it.
He rejected
it because somebody would tell him that, oh, the customers won't pay, and this and that, and it's, you know, it's not a good idea, and this and that. So he just said, no, thank you, but no, I'm not interested in becoming a partner. And we're like, all right. So then as soon as and the other business partner was there too.
They were there the same.
They were both there.
I think we probably planned this knowing us.
I think we planned, and we
probably planned.
We actually went to their house. We were like, you know what? We actually planned it another time, because we tried 2 or 3 times to get them.
We drove to Arizona just to close them.
We're like, we're gonna go. We're gonna make a plan. We're gonna have a, you know, dinner night or whatever, and we're gonna try to get them again. And we're gonna try to close them on a deal to kind of sign in with us and to become partners. He still said no, and we're like, dang, like we felt like he still says no. And we're like, Jimmy, we're begging you, like, we're literally just get in, like, you're gonna do it. And he was like, no. We're like, all right.
Like, when I come home, we're like, oh, it's like, hard to sacrifice.
And I'm like, I think this means no. We don't want to take no for an answer.
Yeah.
So we were hanging out one day, and then both of them were there, and then we asked him again for the third time. We're like, hey, Jimmy, you know, we're having some dream. Like, are you gonna do this or not? Because if you're not gonna do it, we're gonna have our other partner do this. And then it was like, hell yeah. He goes, I'll do it. He jumped up, said, hell yeah, I'll do it.
And we're like, yeah.
And he was happy, and then we're like, all right. Well, then you're a partner. You know, we love him already anyway. So we're like, all right, you can be a partner. So, you know, we ended up becoming partners. We got everything started. You know, he had really good ideas. He's the one that told us, let's not do mobile maintenance. Let's do actual big hangar.
Yeah.
Let's get a spot. And then we were kind of paying rent half and half, us half and him half. And we started off like that. And he didn't know anything about aviation, but he can wrench. And if I tell him, hey, look, you know, this is what we got to do, we take all these things apart, he would do it. Like, he was really good.
Yeah, he's very well-rounded. He's very gifted, for sure.
So I would tell him, take this apart, and then we got to inspect it, and then we have to put it back together. So, you know, he did that, but then he would like clock out, and then he'd go home, and now we'll still have to continue with the invoices, and then learning about the next job, and then learning about the tools, and then little by little, I was just kind of like, you know, I was doing everything, you know. Then he would just kind of like, when he was available was when he would help. And then we were making money already. And then I'm like, okay, well, if it's only when he's available is when he can help, it's not fair that I have to drop in my job what I'm doing. I have to drop it and lie at my job to be able to get out of there to go work on these airplanes. So I'm like, I had to give the company 150%. And he was only giving like not even 50, not even his half. Like, it was just kind of like whenever he gets a chance and whenever he can. And we try to work out a schedule where, like, you know what, by the time he goes, well, by the time I get off of work, I can go and help you. But like, by the time you get off of work, I'm done with working.
It's closed shop.
I'm already done. Like, I'm not going to be here at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, starting another shift pretty much when you come in. And I'm like, that's not going to work out. So we're like, I'll just get it done by the time you get off work, it'll be done. It should be done by 5, 6 o'clock. I don't want to be here till 11 o'clock every night for years or something. So then
But you weren't working anymore either.
At that, in the beginning,
Well,
at the beginning it was tough because of that reason. But then either when we have like meetings, she would come up with like, let's have meetings and let's each have our own position, and like we would give them work. Like, okay, look, you need to do this part for your business. You gotta figure these things out. We give him some tasks, and he wouldn't do them, and then she would end up doing it. And I told him, why, if you're doing it now, we're doing everything for the company, and he's not even doing his part. So then he's just gonna be lacking more and more and more. So then, you know, it kind of hurt me, but I told her, hey, you know what? I don't really like, I want to be complaining, but this isn't going to work out. And in the long run, once we get this built up to a certain point, he's just going to benefit off of everything that got built. And then he's just going to be able to step back even more. So when I told her this isn't going to work out, and she goes, you're just complaining. You're just kind of complaining. And then I'm like, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just complaining too much. And then
we gave it time. We said, let's give it time. Let's give it a couple more months, and then we'll see where it goes.
And then a few months passed, and then same thing, you know, nothing was getting better. I was doing anything by myself. And then I was like, you know what, like, I would just tell him, hey, there's a lot more money in the account. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, even if I explain to him things, he's not going to understand. But all he knew, there was just money in the account. So then eventually we did have to have a talk with him and to tell him, you know what, like, this is not working out and we need to buy you out. And he was like, well, can we just we're, you know, this now? We're like, no, we already made our decision. We need to buy you out. And it was tough. And even to this day, I tell him, I still, you know, love you as my, like, a person. And I hate that it didn't work out, but I told him we had to kind of end it right now before we get into more deeper, and then it's going to be a lot harder, and then there's going to be more resentment whenever we have to break it off. So I told him, let's just do this right now. We'll buy you out. We'll give you this much money, and we'll just go separate ways.
And it is hard. It's very, even right now, it's really emotional because I love my brother-in-law.
We still do. He was a little bit upset, like, for about a year. He didn't even talk to us.
He would, but it wasn't the same. And we were like, you know, when we told her, like, we love you. This is nothing like personal. It's just business. And, you know, it just, like, you work great. That's not the thing. It's just, you know, you have your business that gives your full attention, and this business needs the same. And when you come, like, you're not going to know it. Like, you're not going to know anything. And that's not a good feeling either. And so he understood, but he's like, well, I just want to let you guys know that's not what I want. Like,
he didn't want to get out.
But thank God it was him, because he has such a pure heart. So if he wasn't the way he is, he probably would have fought for his position no matter what. But you know what? God had a plan, because that's when he ended up, you know, he ended up with my sister, and they ended up opening up their own business. So God had a plan for everyone. So we always, when we talk about it, we talk about that now. They're like, God had a plan for us, for them, and God had a plan for us. Like, so we, you know, everything happens for a reason. So we're all on good terms, and, you know, it's just a great memory, I guess you can say, that we have.
Nice. I mean, it's good that you have still a good relationship, right? And it's still there. Because, like, I've had business partners too. We don't talk. I've reached out to them before, again, like, you know, like something different, like more of a partnership, not, you know, business to business. And he's still salty. So, and then, but with family members and stuff like that, I'm happy that, you know, we still talk. We got over it already, and yeah, it's hard. It's hard when you have to, you know, split with a family member or somebody you have, you know, a lot of affinity for, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see. Ask the last question. Can you share a moment when you felt truly fulfilled and proud of your entrepreneurial journey, and what emotions did you experience in that moment?
So for me was when we were doing really good at that time, and we started off in Thermal, at the Thermal airport. So it was a smaller hangar and everything, and we were just kind of working, and then eventually we started getting people to hear our name, and then people were starting to come from other airports to us. So they were bringing their airplanes, even though they had their own maintenance hangar that they could be working at, or their own shop at their airport, they would leave that airport to come work and bring the airplanes to us, because they knew what we were doing, and they knew that we were being fair with the customers, that we were treating them right, we were fixing things that people weren't able to fix. So then, if, you know, the word started spreading, how you said, you know, it's a small industry, and especially, like, everybody here talks. So then once people started hearing that, you know, a friend a friend actually gave me actually our competitor. He didn't want to do a job, so he gave it to us, and I'm like, I'll do it. So then I did the job. The customer was really happy, and then he told one of his friends, and then one of his friends told another friend, and then the word got around, and then they started telling another airport that we were taking all the customers over there. So the business owner of the airport was pretty smart. He kind of said, okay, well then I need to get that guy to come over here, or that company to come over here with us. So we got a call and everything. We got an offer to be able to come to this airport in Bermuda Dunes because there was a new ownership, and the guy is expanding the airport, and it's next to this arena that was getting built, and he has big plans for this airport and here for the valley. So he pretty much wanted to get us on board when he bought the airport, and he got on board. So we got that phone call, and we got that, we were, I think, on our way back from Vegas.
Yeah.
We went way back from Vegas, and we got that phone call that they want us to come, and they're like, we will do whatever you guys want for you guys to come to this airport because we want you guys to be our maintenance company.
And the guy that we were gonna get into partnership with here, that was here first for the aviation, like for the repair shop. I'm sorry. He was like, they told us we're kicking him out, and we're like, oh my gosh, how's that gonna look? They're replacing him, that we were supposed to be partnership with him, taking him out and putting us here. So we took the call, and we're like, okay, well, let's meet up. And so when we came back from Vegas,
we met up, and then pretty much, it was just, conversation that is going to change our lives. And so there's getting an opportunity like there's a bigger place, bigger office, everything. And then when we actually, the moment when we actually got the dates and the agreement to be able to move in, when we were moving in, it was just like, wow, we're going to move into another bigger spot. So it was just,
And it's nice because the owner told us this airport is going to be exclusive to only you guys for maintenance. Because at the other airport, the other private airport, it was like there was mechanics on their mobile, and they didn't need there's people with no insurance, there's people just
there's like a bunch of mechanics everywhere.
So it wasn't exclusive to one maintenance shop. When it's like we were paying for insurance, we were doing everything the right way, and everyone else can still come in and take work. So it was a blessing for us as well. So we felt like, wow, our name came out, our name got out of the company, just showing that we do great work and customer service, like everything. And then we got offered this, like that was a big moment for us.
Yeah, people love to see, like when she's here, people get to see like it's a family-owned business. Like they see like we care, actually, because the owners are the ones that are going to care more for the way the company runs. So they love that it's a family thing, that is like, it's not just a random guy, or it's not just that it's actually, she's here, and then she gives that vibe to the customer that everything feels better with the women's around. Everything feels more comfortable.
Like the warmth, like.
But we came in, and then we spoke to them, and it was just like a reality. Like, oh man, like we're actually gonna be not just a little hanger shop. We're actually gonna have like with an FBO with the company. Like it's gonna be bigger. So
nice. Yeah. So what are they doing out there? That's like, why Bermuda?
We're in the middle of the valley. So we're in Bermuda Dunes. We're in the middle of Thermal's, like 20 minutes east, and then Palm Springs is like about 20-30 minutes west. So then we're in the middle, and here in Bermuda Dunes is just expanding here in the valley. So we're in the middle of both airports, and they made a new arena, like a hockey team arena.
Well, it's for everything.
Everything with it.
It's like an event center where it gets rented out for concerts, hockey, everything.
So because that's getting built, the owner said there's gonna be more traffic because people are gonna come to the airport, like celebrities and everything. So this airport's like maybe 5 minutes away from the arena. Yeah. So a lot of people are gonna come to this airport because like, okay, what's the closest airport to the arena? It's gonna be here at Bermuda Dunes Airport. So Palm Springs is really famous too. So we're really close to Palm Springs, and it's just expanding here in the valley a lot. And us being here at this time right now is just pretty much, we're gonna be growing with the company, and growing with the airport, and growing with the valley.
Nice. You'll be a key component of that traffic coming in. That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate Ulises and Brianna. I'm gonna wrap it up for now because I know you gotta get back to work. I gotta get back to work as well. And thank you for sharing your story. It's super awesome. I'm already motivated to go to work right now.
Well, thank you
All right,
for
thank you,
yes, we really appreciate it. That was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really fun, and now I'm more motivated to do more of these with entrepreneurs and stuff like that too. Very inspiring for sure, and hopefully this reaches out to the right people and see that it is family owned and you do great work. So it's great to hear that, and I'll do my best to spread that for sure.
Thank you. All right, yeah, because we need more mechanics, we need more pilots in the industry. So
Definitely help you out with that.
Yeah.
Code One, that's one of the things we're doing now is like, doing placement. So we'll definitely keep in contact, for stuff like that, and I'll be putting the word out for that.
All
Yeah, because
right.
we're actually looking. We're like, hey, we need to get more. We need to find another mechanic. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's good. We'll keep in touch because I mean, and especially like now the generation, a lot of people don't want to get dirty with hands dirty and stuff like that or become pilots. So the industry is hurting a lot for pilots and mechanics. So
Yeah.
it's spread this around. People can hear about this, and I'm always trying to encourage people to become a mechanic or become a pilot because the industry is just getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah. There's not a lot of guys. Right before I left the Air Force, there was quite a bit of guys, actually even from California too. Like there were some Marines that I met that, once you go outside the city, it's a whole different country, or it's a whole different state in California, right? And there's some like really hard-nosed country, mofos out there. Like you're from California, because I have this stigma or maybe stereotype of like people like from LA or San Francisco and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But these Marines both of them were outside of California. I was like, dude, it's a whole another state outside of that. It's like Texas almost, because I'm originally from Texas. It's like these guys are hardcore, workers and stuff like that, and they love what they did. And right before I left, there was a lot of guys, from Tennessee or from northern Florida and things like that, where I kind of had I felt good. Like, yes, there's some young guys, working on old cars and still wrenching and stuff like that. But yeah, you're right though. There's not a lot of them, but they're still out there for sure.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So
We have to keep in touch.
I'll do my best to send them your way, especially guys who already live in Southern California.
Yeah.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you
Yeah,
so
well,
much,
thank you.
and many blessings your way and towards your company. Keep growing.
Thank you, and again, thank you very much for taking this time with us to share your story. I really appreciate it.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Jose.
Thank you.
Take care.
Good day.